Welcome. In this video, we're going to talk a little bit about two commands, which are somewhat similar, but actually very much different in CloudCalc. And that's the insert command, which is over here on the left-hand menu, and the break command, which is on the context, either on the context menu, break here, or on the graphic editing menu when elements are selected as opposed to nodes. Okay, first, why are they in two different places, two different locations? The idea behind these items here, insert and delete on this menu, is it acts on one element at a time, on the element that happens to be in the data entry sheet at the moment, the current element. So here, if I wanted to do a delete, it would delete item 10 to 20. If I wanted to do a delete over here, for example, I grab a number of these on the on the context menu, delete, it acts on anything that's selected here. In other words, highlighted yellow. Now, a lot of times this may coincide. If I double click, for example, then the synchronization in the highlighted element, or if I pass through with page down, for example, or page up, the highlighted element and this one coincide. So if I hit delete here, or if I hit delete here, the same thing will happen. But the idea behind what's on the context menu or the graphic editing screen is it can work on more than one element at a time. These commands here work only on the current element as seen here. Why is that? Because whereas we might want to break many elements at once, and we'll demonstrate that a little bit later, we only want to insert an element in front of a single one. We don't want to insert a single element in front of many different elements. It doesn't make sense. So we have insert here, which would place one element before or after the current element. And then we have break over here, which can act on either many elements, one element, whatever. It can break a single element into two pieces, or break many elements into two pieces, or a single element into many pieces, or many elements into many pieces. Often they can be used, insert and break can both be used to accomplish similar ends, but they are different, so let's see how this works. Okay, the first thing is we're going to want to, let's say that we want to move this section over. We want to put a run of pipe in the -x direction, tie to this, and then basically a type of expansion loop. Come here, out, and then drop down here. Let's say the pumps were being moved over in this z direction, negative z direction. Well, we may want to, in order to place a run of pipe in that direction, we either want to place one after this 40 to 50, or we want to place one before 50 to 60. So let's select either of those. We say insert is it's 40 to 50, so we're going to want to put something after that. Pick insert. It asks, do we want to do an insert before or insert after? If we say insert after, then the from node will be 50, and it asks us for the to node, so we'll say 55. Then it says, do you want to renumber the adjacent element? What does that mean? If we put in a pipe from 50 to 55, currently this is 50. Do we want to change that number to 55? If we do, it will move it down as well. If we don't change this number, this will remain connected, and we'll have a stub of pipe out here. So it's two different possibilities, two different choices you have. We'll see how that looks again. Insert, we want to do it after. From 50 to 55, we're going to renumber the adjacent element, which will move that piece down, the pumps down. Then it says generate bends. Do we want to generate bends if needed? And that means if we happen to put in some elements, insert some elements that change direction, do we want to automatically generate the bends? You can turn that on or off. Let's leave both of these clicked on for the moment. Click here, and nothing changed here apparently, but before we had 21 elements, now we have 22. And in reality, if we look here, we have this new element number 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so inserted after here, which is 50 to 55 with no dimensions. We have to type that in. It doesn't know where we want to insert this. So let's say we want to go in the z direction, minus 1500 millimeters. So we go minus 1500. Now we had left the box clicked that we want to automatically generate bends, so we're going to have changed the direction here and here. So when we go page down, boom, there we go. We generate a bend here, we generate a bend here automatically. The spring is still at the same number. We've renumbered 55 to 60. If we look down here, that's the next element. That means it stays connected here. Okay, the alternative way of doing that, same thing that we just did, is we could have inserted before this one. So let's go back here. Let's click undo. And once you click undo, the thing you have to worry about or remember is that we just undid that last change, that adding the dimension. We still have that 0 length element here. So to undo an insert, you really have to undo twice. And then we're back to 21 elements. So let's insert here. Insert. Now we'll go before this element. It's going to run from 50 something to 50. So we probably want to go to 45 to 50. If we renumber it, then it will keep everything connected, and generate bends will automatically put in the bends. So now we come up here, we've got this element 45 to 50. If we go minus 1500, so it's now again, it's element 5 before this one, which happens to be after that one. If we do our minus 1500, it goes in. We now have 40 to 45 to 50 to 60 bends automatically generated. 50 stays, the spring stays in this location, but now it happens to be a move down because we inserted before that spring appeared as opposed to after that spring appeared in the last time. So a slight nuance there. Let's undo for a moment here. And again, you have to undo twice to get rid of the empty element. I mentioned that one of the issues is possibly you don't renumber these elements, or you don't automatically insert bends. When would you want to do that? Let's say we want to branch off here. Instead of going, including and connecting this and moving this piece, we want to keep this as is, but then start working a branch off here. You could double click here. You say insert after 40 to 50, insert after 40 to 50. We can call it, let's call it 350 as the node. We don't want to renumber the adjacent element. We'll keep that still connected to 50 as opposed to moving it to 350. Don't generate bends because we're going off with a branch, not with a bend. We now get that element. It's again at 50 to 50. It's still element 5, so it got inserted after. But now when we put in our distance, give it dimensions, it runs off in this direction. So we're now inserting a branch in here. So there's a difference. If you make it, if you renumber the adjacent elements, if you automatically generate bends or what. So this is fairly powerful, very flexible, gives you a lot of options as to how you want to insert here. Okay, now even more powerful than that, I think, is the, so I'm undoing this and undoing twice, back to our original model. I think even more powerful is the break command, which is over on the context menu again. And we can work on whatever's selected on this screen, which again may or may not be synced with this, often is synced with it. Let's close here for a moment, not that you have to, you can leave this open, but it gives us more room to operate. Let's say I want to break this into multiple sections. Currently this is like 5,200 millimeters long. I have some options here. Let's say break, and it asks me how many, and if you say how many, it'll break it into evenly spaced ones. So if I say 3, break it into 3 sections, or let's say break it into 4 sections here, then it'll automatically break, and everything will be the same length. They'll be equal. Now, why didn't it ask me a node number? Because if I'm breaking it into many sections, or if I'm breaking many different elements, there'll just be too many node numbers to type in. So it tries to give me its best guess. Between 40 and 50, it spaces out 40, 42, 44, 46. If we want, we can renumber. I'll show you that in a minute. Let's go back and see what other things break can do. If I double click here, I can say, let's break, not evenly spaced, but I can say, let's break at different lengths. Let's say I want to break 1,000 millimeters out and then leave the rest intact. I can say 1,000. I click here, and it will break this, which is now 1,000 millimeters long, and the rest will be the 4,200 or so remaining. Other Other things, if I want to break more than one piece, I can specify and at different lengths. Let's say I wanted to break the 4 items again, but at different lengths. Let's say I want to break a piece of 1,000. I want to break 2 at 800. I can say 2 @ 800. And then the last one will be whatever's left over. Or I can say, give me a 50, and then whatever's left over there. So if I type this in, I'll get a break where this one is 1,000, this one is 800, this one is 800, the next one is 50, and then so forth, whatever's left over. So it's very powerful in how I can break a single element here. Now, how about if I want to break more than one? Let's try something here. Let's go back to this break with 4 items. Okay, take this out. I'll say 4 equal elements. That's here, they're spaced. Let me just renumber this whole system. So I say select elements, all of them. If I want to say renumber, it'll renumber all those elements I started with, starting with 10. So 10, 20, 30, 40. So it's a very nice layout. I can now, for example, I may want to, let me put something in here, a branch off here. I can say new and 50 to, 50 to 260. Let me go minus 1,500. Okay, and let me duplicate this. Select that. Sorry, I hit break. Select that, hit copy, and let's go 1, 2, 3, 4 of those. I'm going to have 4, including the original, and I'll iterate by increasing the node numbers by 10. So this now gives me a 4 elements here. Now I may want to break more than one at one time. So let's say I grab these and I say break. I can now say let's break these at 300 and 2 at 400. So that'll give me a piece of 300, 2 of 400, which will take me to 1,100, and then 1 piece at the end. So let's make this 2 at 450, just so it's clearer. So I'll have 2, a piece of 300, 2 at 450, and then a piece of 300 at the end. So if I click here, I now see that it broke all of these elements. So I have the ability to break one multiple times, break many elements single time or multiple time. So what's the purpose of something like that? Well, a lot of times you'll have branches that all look the same. So if, for example, we wanted to make these guys valves or rigids or something like that, we could call this, it helps you. You can model in the gross elements and then break all those sections at once and edit. So 2 different commands. Insert works on a single, inserts before a single element, the one that's shown here in the data entry sheet. It lets you insert before or after. It lets you keep the adjacent elements connected or not, and you would not if you want to start working on a branch. It lets you automatically generate bends where the change of direction. The break, on the other hand, will keep the run intact at the original length. It will then break it into sub-elements, and it can work on whatever you have selected in this screen. Whatever is highlighted in this screen, it can work on many elements, or it can work on single element. So if we really want to get fancy, we can say break everything twice. And there we go. So it broke everything down into 2 pieces. So 2 very powerful commands, somewhat different, but a lot of times can be used for the same end. Anyway, thanks for your attention, and if you've got any comments, we'd love to hear them. Thank you.